Oh, where is my co-host gone? Oh, where can he be? Oh, where has my podcast host gone? He is somewhere I can't see. That was bad. That was really bad. Just wait. Danny says, "Hey, we're going live," and then he goes ahead and takes off. He's probably getting himself a beverage. So, how is everybody going? Hey, Craig, how you doing? What's going on? Hey, Maureen, how you doing? So yeah, Danny will be here in just a minute. We'll get going. We got a good show lined up for everybody tonight. Hey, Sherry. We got multiple topics that we're going to hit on. So, hey, Rena. Got my green tea again. Hey, Steven.
You talking to me?
Oh, I'm talking to people that are saying, hey, like Jessica, hey.
Freaking out. I'm losing things.
Quick, go find them. Ah, Rena's watching the Yankees.
Oh, they're watching the Yankees lose, huh?
Hey, Gil, what's going on?
Oh, no.
Hey, and Danny, I didn't get to tell you yet, but I am going to be down in Indianapolis on Sunday.
Oh, fancy.
For kind of a pseudo meet and greet that is going to be for a different. Actually, it's somebody else's. Someone else who is a podcaster and a blogger and stuff like that. I just kind of got invited in the mix type of thing, which is kind of cool. So if anybody's going to be in the Indianapolis area, not too far from where the Indy Disney meet was, this Sunday, kind of like noonish to 4ish or something like that, let me know. I'll get you information.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. And so I'm heading to, I'm heading down to Indy, which is kind of cool. I mean, I had to go to Indy on Friday.
Oh, that's right, you did.
It was funny because I went down to Indianapolis. I went to this place of business. I was there for less than 10 minutes. I turned around and came home.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
It was kind of cool. So anyway.
Speaking, you're a little world traveler this weekend coming up.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna join the boat, and I am on the road this weekend. I will be in the Sunshine State. I will be down in Florida this weekend.
Where are you going?
I will be attending the Florida Con, SuperCon. It's basically like Florida's Comic-Con, which will be hosted this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday over in Miami. So super excited for that. I get to see Alex, so that's always a good time. Always a plus. Do some business, a little networking. I'm going to see another famous Disney podcast do a couple panels while I'm there. So excited for that. It's going to be, it's going to be a good learning experience. This was actually the Comic-Con that I was supposed to take part in, and I had chose not to. Just solely on the fact I've never done one, and I kind of wanted to see how it all worked before I threw our hat in the ring there to represent us.
I think that's smart. I mean, just to kind of get an idea of what it's all about before you actually go there and accidentally make yourself look
like silly. A fool.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
I
understand. Practice is perfect. I mean,
I want to make sure that I do everything right. And it all works.
If you make a mistake, make a big one.
Oh yeah.
At least make it so like you're proud of it.
All right. It's super cool. If you guys see me kind of like fidgeting all around the night, it's due to the fact you can't see it, but I'm now running multiple screens. I actually have an iPad that I basically turned into a laptop, so now I can actually have. Like when we're doing stuff for like what's it called? Like when we're doing like the fast passes, I wasn't really able to take part in the comment section because I only had one screen. Well, now I've got multiple screens, so now I won't really have to miss anything. But I think it is time to start our show like we always do, and that's
before we do that.
Oh.
Everybody, do us a favor, please, please go share our show. Just go ahead and click that share button. Share with all your friends, and just share it to your timeline. Share it to any other timeline that that likes to accept things like this. Just do us a quick favor. Do that for us. I greatly appreciate it. Oh, he's putting his rally cap on. Here you go.
Rock and roll. All right, so I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Let's start with Fantastic Memories Travel, and of course, the Mouse Master Travel Group. Who would want to book with anybody else but Mouse Master Travel? I know I sure don't. They're the only people I do my trips with. And actually, my October trip coming up for Halloween will be through Mouse Master Travel. And what they do is they focus on the Disney destination vacations, and they want to take care of those stressful parts of your vacation planning, like waking up at 2 a.m. for advanced ADRs, fast passes that maybe you can't be on the phone all day looking at and hoping they pop up. You can check them out at mousemastertravel.com. But while you're there, don't forget to tell them Behind the Ears Podcast sent you. So maybe you got your trip planned and, you want to kick back now. You want to relax because all the stressful stuff's taken care of. Well, why don't you start off with some Trader Sam's coffee? And me and Chris paid out of pocket for them. We have a lot of customers already who have used them, and it's been absolutely fantastic. Everybody has raved about it. They want you to brew some of that magic in your home. They've got coffees like Skipper's Brew. They have a Ghoulish Delight, which is like a cinnamon bun. Enchanted Tiki Coconut. They've got a Red-Headed Rum. They got standard coffees. They also have the one I got was the Matterhorn Bobsled Fudge Brownie, which was really good. So many unique roasts. All their coffees are certified gluten and allergen free and feature unique custom artwork. Now, you guys saw when me and Chris did our unraveling, it was a brown bag. Well, starting a couple days ago, they redid all their logo wear. They redid their entire bags. Absolutely gorgeous. And sometime in the future, sometime in this month, we will just leave it at that. We will be doing something where you guys can get a free bag of coffee. But if you don't want to wait, and we recommend you don't wait, head on over to Trader Sam's Coffee. They offer an adventure in every bag. So you can visit them at TraderSam'sCoffee.com. While you're there, use our special promo code. Who doesn't want to save money? It's EARS20, EARS20, to save 20% off your first purchase. Brew your happy place.
And also one other thing, and Danny, I don't know if you saw this, but now they also offer decaf in certain flavors.
Ooh, that's actually not a bad idea. I'm going to have to grab some of that. So you got your trip plan, you got your coffee, maybe you just want to browse a little bit. Can't really find what you're really looking for. Well, Streaming the Magic offers so many unique features where you can ask people to stream certain things. The community is growing every day. There's 40,000 plus members here on Streaming the Magic, but maybe you want something a little more unique. Well, for $5 a month, you can get the VIP treatment. This includes exclusive streams only for the VIP members and a podcast once a week where no one else hears it unless you're a VIP member. And that podcast is me and Chris with the Behind the Ears podcast. So you a VIP member yet? I don't know what you're waiting for, because if you're not, you're missing out. Head on over to Streaming the Magic, $5 a month, get a VIP membership. So you got your streams going, you got your coffee brewing, you got your trip planned, but you still are just too far away and you need something real quick. Well, head on over to MickeyMonthly.com. They bring you a surprise box of Disney goodies direct from the Disney parks each month. Mickey Monthly curates the perfect custom box for your family, and you basically tell them what you want between Disney trading pins, Main Street snacks, even Disney park merchandise. Packages start at a low $7, so you can cure that withdrawal today by simply heading over to MickeyMonthly.com. And once again, we're all about saving you guys money. Use our special promo code RADIO35. That's RADIO 35 to save 35% off your first box. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Streaming the Magic proudly brings to you Behind the Ears podcast. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears podcast. I am Uncle Danny, the man on the other side of the glass. That is Mr. Chris. Sir, how are you doing on this fine Tuesday evening?
Doing well on this fine Tuesday evening. I hope you are doing fine on this Tuesday evening. And I gotta tell you something. We've got some really cool stuff that is planned for today. We've got a few different things that we're going to talk about, and I'll be honest with you. What can I tell you? I know I'm a big birthday celebration kind of person. I always wanted to be at Disney at a time where they celebrate something big and a big anniversary. And as most people know, they had a pretty epic celebration to celebrate Epcot's 35 years of being a park over at Disney. And I just think that is just really pretty super cool. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to talk about the Disney Dreams little fender bender. And I'm trying not to laugh because I can always think of the video because it really wasn't all that funny if you really think about it. We're going to talk about a few other things too, and kind of give you a little bit of a hodgepodge of everything, not necessarily just news, but also some events and all that other good stuff. But we're going to start over at Epcot 35. Danny, I don't know about you, but I started looking at some of the pictures on Sunday morning. I got up kind of early that morning, and obviously thousands of people did too, to wait in line just to get into Epcot. And even before rope drop, they kind of like did what I like to call the pressure release, where they kind of let people in up to a certain point, and in one case it was letting people up to about the outside edge of Spaceship Earth, where they had some entertainment by the Jammers. Love those guys. Those guys are cool. I wish the Jammers would like put out a live album. That would actually be really cool if you ask me. But man, the early pictures were just thousands upon thousands of people that were there to enjoy Epcot for its birthday. I mean, people were posting pictures of the buttons and the maps and all the special merch that was there, and this, that, and the other. I just could not believe what I saw on the lines. I honestly didn't think that it was going to be that crowded. Did you see any of that?
The crowds looked like mayhem. They got, as the day progressed, it really seemed to get even more disgusting. And when I mean disgusting, it's just, it looked like you couldn't move. They were trying to stuff, 5 pounds of salami into a 2-pound can. It looked very, very uncomfortable. Me and Alex had joked about it. She was like, I don't know if I needed to be there to get that T-shirt when I could just go a couple days later, whatever the case is. But on the same token, I kind of would have liked to have been there. I feel bad for the people that had no idea that this was happening and just went to that park because that was their scheduled Fast Pass day, because you're not getting anything done that day.
You know what? I kind of thought the same thing. I mean, I kind of thought to myself, if you were a casual guest and you didn't realize that it was, it was the anniversary. But also it's also the anniversary of Walt Disney World itself. Man, that was just a really big deal. Stephen basically made mention it looked like New Year's Eve. It did. It really did. It was really pretty intense. But here's the interesting part. I think most of the people were there for the merch.
Oh yeah.
I saw people like putting posts on different Facebook groups saying, "Hey, if you're looking for the Epcot or the Figment Funko,"
which they did release more of, everybody.
Yeah, which they did release more. It's like, "Hey, they're over here," and I could just picture the crowd.
Oh God, yeah. And it was hot too for the end of September, early October.
Oh, I know. It was nuts. And then people were saying that they were standing in line thinking that they were going to be getting something, and then they found out that they were like in the wrong line. I mean, it was like worse than being at the BMV at the wrong time, realizing you're in the wrong line. Oh my gosh, but like Brian actually here is reporting that the parks weren't all that crazy. Most of the crowd was waiting online to buy merch, and then they left. Or in line, I think is what he meant to say. I read it as it was. But yeah, I mean, I love exclusive stuff. I love to collect that kind of stuff. But, you know, I'm done. I'm not a local. You're not a local.
Not yet.
You're not yet. I personally would not spend a whole day for merch. But you know what? Some people do, and I respect that. That's fine. If that's what you're doing, that's fine. You know, but okay, Brian's saying that the parking lot wasn't full. Then Brian, I saw the pictures of you waiting in line in your car just to try to get through the gate. You know it was still busy, even though
busier.
You know,
Maybe he's saying it's not as busy as people made it seem, but still busier than the average day at Epcot. Paulette wanted to know, will merchandise be available still in the park? As of right now, everything still is available.
I heard different things, but I mean, different things are still available. But yeah, I mean, people were saying like the Figment stuff was coming back.
When we went in June, they still had Wishes stuff. You had to look for it, but it was there. So it was there. He had to find it. He had to dig a little bit, but they, I know of people who said they're still finding 45th anniversary stuff. So
wow,
yeah. So I mean, if it's there, they're not gonna just throw it out. He said that was the rope drop line. That is a ridiculous rope drop line.
That's a ridiculous rope drop. I mean, regardless if that's, listen, you see something like that and your heart just sinks to your stomach. It is. It's just. It is. It's one of those. It's just one of those things, But yeah, a lot of people were there for the merch and the presentation, and that was about it. I mean, it wasn't like they had any unveilings going on.
I know Brian had said, there are 1 day official things that they only made a certain amount of. I was just saying anything that didn't sell will still be there. They're not just going to pull it off the shelves, even if it says the date that the park opened, because I know people that we're finding things that after Memorial Day for Pandora opening day. So if it doesn't sell, it's going to be there. But if it's sold, whatever they have and they put out, they sell. They're not going to bring more in. But Trisha's also saying the Figment is now sold out again, which is. Did you see what they're going on eBay for?
Dude, I saw that they were going on eBay for like $45 was the cheapest one, but I know that some of them were going up to $100.
$100.
One of those. Oh, but it was free shipping, and but I'm not gonna. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I think it's really kind of cool that there are some people that have made businesses out of, doing the Disney boxes like Mickey Monthly. I think that's a really cool service. And I think that they are different. Personal shoppers like that are different than those who purposely go scrounge up as much as they can and then sell it on eBay for 2, 3, or 4 times what they paid for it. I don't know if I can get behind something like that, even though it's good old fashioned capitalism. I know it's hard. Tough call.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of debate on this, and people are like, that is ridiculous. That is scamming. Well, no, it's supply and demand. Like, listen, if I have a $10 object, does anybody get mad that Disney's, think about it. That Figment toy, probably in the grand scheme of things, probably cost them a couple bucks to make. They're going to turn around and sell for 30. Does anybody get mad at Disney for selling it for 30? No. Well, guess what? If I go in there and I buy a bunch of them and I turn around and sell them on eBay for $100, no one is forcing you to buy that product from me. I just happen to put it out there and say, okay, here's the product. What do you guys, if you want to buy it, this is my price. You have the option of saying, no, that's too expensive. I'm just offering it at the price that I want to make on it.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a tough call, right? Because let's face it, if you really want it and you're not able to be there, then you're going to pay it because it's cheaper than trying to be down there. I saw someone. I mean, I've told about this kind of story before. I collect Disney watches made by Skagen, and I know how much they go for. There is one limited edition watch I see pop up on eBay every once in a while. I know that this watch probably cost about $250, and the person selling it wants over $1,200 for this watch. And I'm like myself, you know what? I love it. It's absolutely stunning. But no.
Yeah.
I will pay. I mean, you have to know what you're going to get for your money. You know, you kind of, I mean, it's either going to be one of those things that's an emotional purchase, or it's going to be one of those things like you really have to have it. But when it gets up to something like that, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, Michael brings up a good point. You know, like people like the park original stuff, and I get it. So I'm not. I mean, keep in mind, I think it's. I agree. I like park original stuff. I just think it's good old fashioned capitalism, but it's still a little hard getting behind because so many people are there and they're trying. Everybody's trying to get it. That's the point. People are there trying to get some of this merch, and Disney has put limits on many of the more popular items. You know, like I saw this mug that you only get like 5 of a certain mug or something like that.
I know Brian or Trisha is gonna come, get back at me if I did this wrong. Was there a limit on Figment? Because I thought someone said there was a 10 lot on Figment, and then also heard that there was nothing. So I don't know if some cast members maybe didn't get the memo, or some cast members were just letting things go. But I mean, I've seen pictures of people who bought 20 plus of them because they knew. Listen, they were smart. They knew that there was demand. But there you go. So Trisha says 10. Jessica confirms it's 10. So here's the thing is, what breaks it from if me and Alex are standing in line? No one, say me and her had a same household. No one's going to check IDs. It's going to take way too long. You're still talking about between the two of us, you're talking about 20. If we kept one each, we have 18 for sale. Here's the thing. It was a Figment. People right now are going nuts for anything Figment. Did Disney not see this coming?
Well, but here's the thing. Here's the funny part. I'm glad you brought that up because I thought about that too, right? There is so much Figment in not only the 35th anniversary of Epcot stuff, but also food and wine. There is so much Figment. And you can't tell me that Disney, knowing that Figment stuff is the bomb right now, that they're going to do away with Figment the character. And there was a rumor going around about that not too long ago because of a survey, talking about whether or not people knew who Figment was. I guarantee people know who Figment is. Maybe not necessarily the newest of new generation of Disney lovers, Disney guests going to the parks, but Figment has a huge, huge following. Now, I didn't mean to bring this up to talk just about Figment. That's not my point. But you got it. I mean, even my wife this morning, she's like, hey, check out these mugs. And here's like a Figment mug for food and wine. And it's a really cool looking mug. Then she flipped it over and she goes, or this one, which I actually like the second one better because it was like a schematic drawing of Figment, which I just love, especially for the engineer in me. But, it's just one of those things. People love Figment and people love Epcot's, 35 anniversary stuff. And they loved the food and wine stuff. So could it be one of those things where you hold back a little bit of something like Figment in order to gain more interest and all of a sudden, poof, hey, wait, Trisha just said the same thing and I did not see that, Trish. I guarantee you. Trish said, my thought is Disney made it look like Figment was going away and sparked everyone's interest again. Great PR. Trish, I tell you right now, I did not see your comment when I said that. So great minds think alike. Thumbs up to you, my friend.
Yeah. Hey, Christine, if you find one of those NES Nintendos, let me know. I'm on the prowl for one. Yeah, wow. They definitely drove business. And hey, that's awesome. Good for them. Good for them. Because
I realize I bring up something of a controversial topic and I didn't really mean it to go that way, but you catch my drift.
But here's my point. Why is it lately? And now some people might be like, Danny, you're just nitpicking that one now. No, hear me out. All right. Before you all stop tuning in, listen here, youngsters. Why does Disney put out these special edition stuff? And I'm not talking magic bands that have a number. I'm not saying, hey, we only printed 3,500 of them and all of them are numbered. I'm not talking about that. But you talk about the Banshees. You talk about the Figment Pops. All these things that, do they not expect them to sell? Because they sold the Rose Cups. Prime example. Those 3 things all sold out so much They brought some back. They sold out of them again, and then they brought in this huge allotment of them, and now they're stuck with them.
They're still everywhere.
Those rose glasses are everywhere, and they're just collecting dust.
And there were people that were scalping them big time.
I bought them from one of our listeners.
I know, and it's just like and it was just like wow, and it was just ridiculous on the premium they were going for, and you know what was going to be the next thing? Those gold rose colored ears.
I'm surprised they haven't freaked out about them yet.
What do you mean? Because for a while, people couldn't find them, and they were still in very high demand.
I don't know if they are in as big as demand as possible, as we think they would have been. I thought after that whole debacle of the internet was whether if it was gold or if it was blue. Remember that dress that everybody had? The first thing I saw when I saw those ears was like, oh God, it's one of those again. I thought there'd be more demand for those ears, and I guess, like the same will happen for the gold ears, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just don't see the buzz like I have with the Banshees, and with the Banshees have died off. The rose-colored cup, the Beauty and the Beast cups are gone. No one really talks about them anymore. Now the big thing is these Figment. What are they called? Pops?
Pop Funkos.
Yeah, that's
whatever.
Not in my wheelhouse. I apologize.
Well, you know what? I'm a big, as I said, I'm a big Figment fan. I don't. It's the eyes. It's the eyes in those things I don't care for. If it actually had, let's see, let me take my Figment here. Figment has, kind of purple, gold, black, with black iris eyes. If it looked like these eyes, I would be, do that again. These eyes, I'd be all over buying one of them because I think it would look cool. But it looked creepy to me. But that's just me. Your mileage may vary. Taxes not included. Void or prohibited by law.
I don't want to get off on this tangent, but that is the truest statement someone will say all night. What will the Star Wars merchandise be like? The line.
Oh, you come on. Oh, you know what?
Get online now.
Yeah, I think that is a question that is without an answer, because I think we all know what the answer is going to be like. People will be waiting in line for days to get that kind of merch, especially day one.
I'll be there.
And I think that's fine. Again, people who are planning to be local could afford to do that sort of thing. I am not. It is not me. I am not the demographic. I'm not going to fly down or use a whole day with my family, or dare I say, away from my family, at the parks to get merch. I just don't do it. Oh gosh, fist fight. I would hope to believe that the force will be with them and not necessarily turn to violence. It's just one of those things. I will say that one more thing about the whole gold rose ears type thing. I keep on seeing pictures every day that they are bringing them back and then they're gone. They're bringing them back and they're gone. I think you're right. I mean, we are finding these newest, coolest thing, and it's just happening. All of a sudden something becomes the next coolest thing, and it lasts for about a month to 6 weeks, and then it's on to something else. Soon those rose cups are going to probably end up over a Character Warehouse or Cast Connection.
Yeah, I went to the Disney store for the first time in a long time, because we don't have one locally, and they have an entire display case of. Now they changed them. They're a little bit different than what they used to be.
Here he goes. I like what Lori just said. She thinks that the newest coolest thing is going to be like, Behind Ears podcast merch. I like that idea too.
We'll get out into our store and buy some shirts.
Hey, just go to BehindEarsPodcast.net. Click on store.
This was the original glass.
Right.
Had the rose in it, and this is supposed to light up, but...
Is your battery dead already?
I literally had it on for about 13 seconds the entire time I've owned it. So the battery died very quickly in it. Now, the new ones are this, but they have gold lettering that says Beauty and the Beast. And I think that ruined it. I think this was the way to go, because this looked like what it was supposed to be from the movie, with the rose inside of the glass casing over it. But I mean, this just sits there. It just sits on my shelf. But you know what? They suckered me into it. I was like, oh my goodness, I want this thing. Didn't know what I wanted for it. I mean, it would have probably been awesome when it lit up at night to put a drink in it and walk around Magic Kingdom. Now it just sits in my room.
But now the rose is on the inside, and then whatever you put in to drink out of it, the rose is in the middle of that drink, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you wouldn't want to put, say, a sweet, sticky, alcoholic adult beverage in there because it would be a bear to clean that rose, or worse yet, like a milkshake or something like that. Am I right?
I was trying to see if there was a way to pull it off without breaking it. I'm not positive.
Okay,
well, I'm going to say
I understand.
No,
yeah, it's just, but you kind of catch my drift. I mean, it would be great for water or clear liquids, but
not even clear liquids. It's anything with sugar in it. You're done. So you're basically stuck to water. You can't throw Gatorade in it. You can't throw any of that stuff in it. Anything that's sticky, which is going to be almost anything you're possibly going to drink besides H2O.
Good point. Good point. Anyway, but speaking of which, I mean, that was all like what a lot of the biggest lines were at the Epcot 35th anniversary celebration was all about the merch. Of course, there's still talk about how, Ellen's Energy Adventure, that area is going to go to the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, and it kind of got let slip that it's going to be a coaster. It's going to be a roller coaster. Some people were even kind of showing in a picture of the real estate that is going to take up, and it looks like it's going to take up where Ellen is now, and even a little bit behind where Wonders of Life was, which is going to be really cool. I got into a discussion with somebody about, the whole idea behind it. And a lot of people were saying, hey, I don't understand why they're doing this in Epcot. And I said, I basically used the same thing, the same kind of logic I used with Pandora. You never know until how Disney presents it. So you really should just wait and see how it goes. And Alex, about the whole new Starbucks mug stuff, here I go, and I spent a lot of time getting my Starbucks mug set, and now they've released more Starbucks mugs. You know how hard those are to transport on a plane without making sure they break?
Ooh.
I was fortunate enough that we were driving when I got my last set. But here's the thing. I'll probably just keep the set I have now. But yeah, it was just one of those things. But yeah, so those are some of the items that were going on for the 35th anniversary. Happy birthday, Epcot.
Yeah. And I want to say one more thing, but that has nothing to do with that before we go on the next topic.
What's that?
Man, I am not excited for Toy Story because I just think they're not doing a good enough job, in my personal opinion.
Really?
But you better bet I will be at the gate. I will get there at 4:00 in the morning because you better believe I am buying anything with Buzz Lightyear on it that has an actual date on it. Oh, I'm going to go nuts for Toy Story gear. But yeah, that's my... Listen, if I go out, I have a giant... For anybody who doesn't know, I have a giant Buzz Lightyear tattoo on my arm. Huge. Takes up half of my arm. Of course, I'm going to be first in line. My Buzz Lightyear... Buzz Lightyear better be there. That's all I'm saying. He better be greeting me at the door. I'll be very upset if he's not.
I think that's a very fair statement. I think I totally get... I totally get it. I totally get it. So it should be, but going along with that, I know and you're right. This is going off topic. We do this so well. The fact of the matter is that, I think they're going to do a really good job with Toy Story. I really do. But I've learned from the past because I have, I have had to kick myself in the butt a few times by saying, Disney is not going to do this right, or this is not going to work out well, or this and the other. And anytime I've done that, I've been proven wrong. I've learned to wait and see because, I want to see what the Imagineers have done. And I've learned that, Disney really knows how to tell a good story. Let's see what happens,
I don't disagree with what you're saying. My only thing is, I think they could have done more from what I've seen so far. It looks awesome. The detail looks amazing, and I know they're going to knock that aspect out of the park. I'm not disagreeing with anybody there at all. All I'm saying is, could have made it huge, like monster. But I feel like there's a lot of focus on toys, Star Wars, which I understand is completely understandable.
Well, the thing of it is that I like, just like Pandora, I still personally think that they're going to expand Pandora. Probably at least two times, once each to go along with each of the movies. I totally believe that. And who knows what they're going to do with Toy Story. I actually think they're making Star Wars a little bit of a once and done, or at least a modular situation, where they're not going to be able to expand it, but they will be able to change it. Change it around a little bit. So let's see. Brian was mentioning about, they're going to have some D20. They're going to have some D23 events. If I was down there and I was able to actually attend, I would actually become a D23 Gold member again. I was for a long time. So
I am super. Listen, I've considered joining. I considered joining D23 as it was anyway. Bless you. Is that a sneeze?
No, that's noble. I got really bad allergies today, so I apologize to any listeners out there.
I was planning on wanting to join anyway, and I was going to get the Premier Edition. I think that's what it was, the Gold, whatever their top one is, because I don't know Disney Platinum, whatever. I will, if I know that there's going to be an actual event. Yeah, that's I'm going. I'll find a way in there. When it comes to Toy Story, I'm going to go nuts, and that's why I don't make fun of anybody who has who goes crazy about things inside Disney or Star Wars. I might not like Star Wars. I might not get where you're coming from, but boy, oh boy, people must look at me like I'm a nut job. I love my Toy Story.
Yeah, the thing is that I have to say I agree with that. If I lived close, I was having this conversation with somebody else earlier this week as well. If I was the kind of person that lived closer to the different D23 events, I would. I would totally do it more. I would, really focus on attending more of this and the other. If I had more flexibility, especially if I lived down there, I would so be all over it. Even some of the events that they've had in Chicago, unfortunately, I've not been able to even attend them. So, we'll just have to see how it goes in the future. Again, I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm saying it's like, for me, I'm not in a position where I would really be able to take advantage of it. However, the membership, oops, I almost said something really bad. Membership. There we go. If you want the magazine, I think the membership is actually really worth it if you like the magazine. And I've got a stack of the D23 magazine, and I think it's a gorgeous magazine. I got several of them in my kind of still in the wrap in my theater, which I have a lot of Disney artifacts, and that in itself, I used to really like it. For a while, I couldn't justify the cost. I may do it again. I don't know.
How often do you get this said
magazine?
Yes.
Quarterly.
Oh.
But you have to understand, it was also available on a newsstand, right? But they were $15 a piece. So the fact of the matter is that, it's a little bit more to just be a full-on D23 subscriber at that time. But the fact of the matter is, I didn't have to go to the mall to go to the bookstore, which they don't even have anymore, I might add. Yeah. That's a whole different story, to find it. So it actually made more sense just for the convenience factor of getting the magazine delivered to my door.
It's actually not a bad price at all.
It really isn't. It's just that, for a while, I just haven't had the extra cash, especially with, daughter in college and other stuff.
Do you happen to remember, just out of curiosity, I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you happen to remember what they were charging you? I just want to see how big the price jumped. That was my curiosity. I'm
going to say that it was either it was somewhere between $60 and $70.
Okay, so it's $79.99. It's really $74.99, but then there's a $5 process and handling fee that gets built into it.
It really, to tell you the truth, overall, it's not unreasonable. It's not unreasonable at all. And being that this was several years ago that I became a member, you know, it worked out pretty well. So
now, Brian, you had talked about some of these D23 things. Where do they take? Like, are they the middle of the week? Because I know the DVC does a lot of that too. It'll be like a Thursday night, you know, where like they have like when they did their DVC party with Typhoon Lagoon the one year.
Yeah, it would be sometime in the middle of the week or something.
It's always in the middle. So any of these events are usually middle of the week. Okay,
not necessarily a weekend, but
okay. Makes sense. So what why don't we talk about this Disney cruise ship getting an ouchie over the past week? I think it needs a very big Band-Aid.
Oh my gosh. It was now, you know, the Disney Dream is a beautiful ship. I've been on it. It's an absolutely fabulous craft. And it was backing up into the dock, and I believe it was over at Nassau.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things where the dock was extended out to a square, I think it was like a concrete pad of sorts. And you can tell in the video, which was not super, it was clear, but didn't have a very wide angle, that you can tell they were trying to use the thrusters to move it to the side. But unfortunately, it was, I think, the case of too little, too late. And all of a sudden, you're watching it, and it's kind of like watching a train wreck in slow-mo, because you know what's going to happen. And when you see it, you're just like, ouch! Because all of a sudden you just hear this slow crunching of metal, and the guy that did the video, you know, he drops a variation on an F-bomb theme, which, hey, that wasn't cool in of itself, but it was just funny.
Oh, did he? He cursed? I didn't watch the video.
It was actually.
I think most people would not say. I mean, you literally just crushed.
Oh, it was pretty good. Now you have to understand, you know, these cruise ships weigh hundreds of tons, if not thousands of tons, I should say, and they're made out of steel. You know, I mean, this is not like made out of aluminum or anything like that. I mean, this is just heavy stuff. So after the ship moved out of the way, I mean, it looked like a nice square impact.
Yeah.
Now, Disney Cruise Line is reporting that while it has been damaged, it did not breach the hull, so there was no danger of taking on water or flooding or anything like that. And they are actually in the process of repairing it now, and it is not going to disturb the itineraries of the Disney Dream, which I think is great. I mean, they should be able to repair it without too many problems. I mean, granted, cutting out a section or maybe banging it back. I can't really bang out that kind of iron, but you know, they're repairing it now. They're making sure that everything's in order. They're going to make sure that it's structurally sound, and then they're going to take care of it. And I'm sure at the next dry dock, if they need to do anything else in order to, you know, make it even better or, you know, more longer lasting repair, I'm sure they'll do it. One thing's for sure, I have complete confidence that Disney Cruise Line will not allow a ship to be sailed that's going to cause any sort of compromise in safety or quality to the guest experience.
You know, to piggyback on the actual cruise line aspect of it, this is not, you know, I have not seen confirmed by Disney anywhere, so please take this with a grain of salt. But I was actually just reading a couple different people's comments on some other Disney community pages on Facebook today, and it was the first time in history Disney Cruise Line has ever left Disney. First time the Disney Cruise Line has ever left guests behind at a port when they were on a Disney excursion. They were over in England or somewhere. Where were they? Oh man, now I can't find it. They were overseas somewhere, and they were on a tour bus that was brought by Disney. It wasn't some like third party. Disney had it all set up. That bus got stuck in traffic, and the captain waited till the last 60 seconds before he had to leave before the tide went out. So he had to leave an entire bus full of people. So then they put him up in a hotel, and then they had to fly them to the next place to be picked up by the boat the next day.
Oh, that is that confirmed?
It's not confirmed by Disney.
Okay.
I've searched it. I did not find it. I didn't do too much research into it, but this was by several different people that happened to be a part of the incident. So, like I said, take it with a grain of salt.
The thing is, though, is that I can assume that there are probably some ports of call where that is a problem. In the sense of the tide can come in and out at such a rate and make such a change in the depth of the water that if you don't get out, you're all of a sudden you're going to be sitting on a sandbar. Yeah. And that's a bad thing. Now I know that like Port Canaveral doesn't have that issue. Castaway Cay doesn't necessarily have the issue. I don't believe Nassau has that kind of an issue. But I don't necessarily know about the overseas port. The overseas ports. So, that I'm sure that was one of those cases where, Disney probably had to do something about it. And I'm sure that guests were not happy, but, at the same time, again, safety, comes first. And I am sure that getting hung up on a sand barge of some sort is not going to, it has a risk of being unsafe. I mean, what was that one ship that, turned on its side? It was in Italy. Yeah. Italy. I mean, that was, now granted, not necessarily talking about the same thing here, but it goes to show the danger of a captain, not heeding, water depth type of thing. And it caused mass casualties and chaos on that ship. Disney's always going to put safety for the guests in mind. Even if that means that there's going to be a busload of ticked off guests, they'll make it up to them. They kind of guarantee that sort of
like Concordia or something like that.
I think it was. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, but that was a bad situation, and Disney doesn't want a bad situation like that. Damage to the ship, risking the gas safety. No way.
And you got to remember, Stan's saying, couldn't the ship just go in deeper water and wait for them to get back? At the end of the day, man, that's a port. People need to come and go. We think of Disney as, and I know you're like saying, well, how hard can it be? Think about it. You'd have to go out in deep enough water, wait, get that bus there, wait for the tide to come in, bring that boat back in, re-tie it up, do all the security measures to get. That would be a major ordeal. And they also can't be late for their next port because everything is timed. There's time slots they have to be there.
I mean, you make a really good point. I mean, yeah, sometimes the ships will get to port, a couple hours early. They try not to be late. I mean, there's a lot, there's a lot of things that it comes down to, the timing of that. In fact, the interesting part is that, they were kind of joking about it while I was on a Disney cruise, and they basically said, we are leaving at this time, and don't forget the ship is always on time.
But thank God this happened with a Disney destination and not on, you were just doing a third party, because then guess what? You'd be up.
You'll be up the creek without a paddle.
Yeah, you would be literally out of your own pocket to catch up with that shit.
Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is that is one thing to be said about booking an excursion with Disney Cruise Line and one of their vendors, is that you are given a certain, I'll say, guarantee of quality. And it does make a difference. I mean, I did an excursion with, that was done through Disney, and it was good. It was really well done. I have heard some different nightmares and stuff like that. And when you're in a foreign country and, you don't necessarily know who you're dealing with, you're kind of taking some risk in your own hands. So take that at face value. You may pay a little bit more to have Disney coordinate those kinds of things. I would much rather I would much rather just do it that way, pay a little bit extra, have a peace of mind, and as I said, I'm sure Disney took care of them right away.
Yeah. So, I mean, some interesting. What?
I just saw what Alex said. I demand to stay in Cinderella Castle. Oh, I did non-disclosure agreement. So,
all right, let's move to the next topic. So we did Epcot's 35th. If you're just joining us late, we did Epcot's 35th anniversary. We've talked about the 2 cruise ships incidents. Let's go to the minivans. What do you got for us?
Minivans are now available at all deluxe resorts, and if I'm not mistaken, also Fort Wilderness as well. Now, you've heard me talk about the minivan service before in the past, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoyed using it. I will admit I used it when it was free, and I compared it with Uber and about the same amount of cost. Basically it's like this. You use the Lyft app, Lyft, Lyft app, and you have to have it actually, the minivan component to it, activated by the concierge desk over at one of those deluxe resorts. And you don't necessarily have to be a deluxe resort guest to use it, but you have to at least be able to pick it up from there. And I think you could also possibly pick it up from one of the parks as well, and Disney Springs. Although what I read about it from someone's experience, it was a little unclear. So do make sure that if you're interested in using the minivan service, that you ask a few questions beforehand. Just a couple little bit reminders. It's a $20 flat fee, no matter what the Lyft app says, and no tipping. They don't accept tips. It's really kind of cool to see. It's really kind of cool to see that. What's what I wanted to say? I think it's really kind of going to be kind of neat to see how they work it out. What kind of demand they have for them in the future. I think it's going to be a really good thing. In some cases, Uber might be cheaper, but I think in a lot of cases, I still say I would rather pay Disney for that service if I wanted to do it. I also just don't think I'm going to be using it every time, but there will be some times where I think it'll be really, really good. No, you do not have to bring your own car seats. They actually have 2 car seats already included with each one of those cool mini vans. This little tidbit: if you have to do that with Uber, they actually charge you extra. So, advantage minivan.
Advantage Uber. I don't know. I will try them. Me and Alex have talked about it. We will do one trip with that. We're going to do an Uber. We're going to hit every mode of transportation inside Disney and outside of Disney, including our own vehicle. Ooh.
I would probably say this. It's one of those cases where it's like, when it comes to the paid modes of transportation, and I'm referring to minivan, I'm referring to Uber, or even regular Lyft, to me, there are probably my whole thing is there are probably going to be people that would want to use them all the time. I don't necessarily think it's going to be necessary to do that all the time. I still think that it's going to be a great option to get from resort to resort for things such as character meals, spa appointments, or this, that, and the other. As I said, I took it from the boardwalk when they were offering it. I went from Epcot, walked over to boardwalk after Illuminations, I was back in my room at Animal Kingdom over at Kidani Village before 9:45, and it was a fabulous, it was a fabulous time. It was a great experience, great driver. So, but yeah, they only do just on Disney property, but hey, if you wanted to ask them to stop over at the Speedway or something like that, Speedway to get snacks or something like that, they'll stop there for you for a small amount of time. So it's just really kind of cool. So
Why not the buses? Well, you were talking. People were talking about how much they love the Disney buses. And I was just giving dirty looks back at our listeners.
Well, it's just not your style. You don't really care for them.
Listen, moderates and up, buses are fine. My experiences with buses at the values have been below par. But I will be at another value come the end of this month. We will be partaking in some bus activities, and hopefully it changes my mind. Maybe it was just a week I was there. Maybe it was just the hotel I was at. I don't know. It's a completely different hotel. It's a bit of a stepper upper, I like to call it, from the All Stars.
Stepper upper.
But we'll see what happens. Can we use it to go to Downtown Disney?
You can use it to go to Disney Springs, yes.
Downtown Disney. Yes.
Disney Springs, yes.
She called it Downtown Disney. That's not me. Blame our listeners. I don't know what to tell you. Oh man. Everybody's telling me Pop will be much better. We'll see. We'll see, people. We're gonna see. But that's the biggest thing is the crowds. The crowds are much heavier, I feel, on the buses coming out of the values, but compared to coming out of the moderates.
Well, let's see. Isn't Pop also one of the routes that has one of those big old accordion buses?
Do they?
I don't know. I thought they did, and I never got a chance to try one of them. I've always wanted to go on one of those big accordion buses for some reason. Don't ask. It's just the weirdness in me. I always wanted to do that.
I hope. We'll see. Yeah, I do hope we get a renovated room also. I'm praying for that. I kind of want to put a request in for it, but I don't want to seem like that guy, but I'll probably still do it.
You should be that guy. You are that guy.
That is very true. I am that guy. I should call him up. Do you know who I am? They're like, you. Who are you? I just want a new room, please. That's all I'm asking for. Just give me a new room,
please.
Just hand them a crisp $1 bill. That's for you. You do what you want.
Here, allow me to give you this picture of George Washington. You are cheap. Jeez. My gosh. Here's a nickel. Go buy yourself a cheeseburger.
Dude, have a coffee on me. Just hand them like just a cup of coffee that made out of your hotel room. What does this get me?
I brought you a cup of coffee. No. Dude. Give him a business card. On the back of it, put TraderSam'sCoffee.com. Here's 20, and here's a discount code for you.
Give him the Mickey monthly. Just hit him with all our discounts. I could save you a bundle. That's a good guy.
I could save you a bundle in your car.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh, dude. Okay, I dare you to do that. Just once. Anyway, no, but I'll be honest with you. You said some of the values have had some iffy bus service. I personally have not. I usually stay at a value 1 or 2 days, and it's usually not that big of a deal. And so I kind of just deal with it. Now, I'll be honest. Sometimes I think that some of the deluxe resorts around the monorail actually have slower service because you tend to make more stops. That's the part that gets me.
Oh,
but and also the thing is like, yeah, if you want to go to the Magic Kingdom, it's great being there on the monorail. Going to Epcot, chances are you're going to go on the monorail, but you still have to transfer it to TTC. You still got to do some different things. There's still always, here's the big thing, everybody. No matter where you're at, there's always going to be one park that's the furthest and one park that is the closest.
All the time.
So if you say, hey, which resort could I stay at where it will be like the best transportation in the shortest distances? That's the wrong question to ask. You got to figure out what your plans are. I will say this. I have stayed at Old Key West, and I will say when I've stayed at Old Key West, I feel like it is the closest to being near equidistant to most of the parks than almost anywhere else. Close. So, what are you laughing at now, bro?
Brian goes, you need coffee? I got coffee. Just open up a trench coat with all the Trader Sam's coffee.
Hey, man, I'm going to brew your happy place.
Brew your happy place.
I think that's funny. And by the way, yes, I know those are some funny shameless plugs for Trader Sam's coffee. And to be very honest, the more I drink it, the more I really like it. Yep, I'm giving a total complete shameless plug there. It is good stuff. And my daughter was saying that she was showing me how she got her coffee and she really liked it too. So anyway, we'll go ahead and continue off of that. But yeah, transportation is just one of those things. I think minivans and Ubers and all those other things. Oh, speaking of Uber, for those people that really, really like Uber, Groupon was just offering a discounted Uber gift card of sorts.
Uber was?
No, Groupon.
Was doing a coupon for who?
For Uber.
That's a tough sentence to say. I don't know why.
Groupon
was
offering like a Uber. Gosh, you're right. An Uber gift card of sorts that was discounted. So if you are into the whole Uber thing, go sign up for your local Groupon, and you might be able to do something well with that. And my gosh, that was just really hard to say.
That's kind of cool. I got to look into that because I'm an Uber. Me and Alex are definitely Uber users all the time. I actually was in an Uber over the weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I'm an Uber.
I like them.
And Danny.
Okay. Listen, we love Trader Sam's. I love Trader Sam's coffee. But guess what? When I'm in the park, I don't have Trader Sam's coffee. So I'm still going to result back to my other love of coffee. Listen, you can have multiple loves of coffee. You could do it. You want to change it up once in a while. I still love Joffrey's. I'll admit it. I'm not afraid to admit it. I love Joffrey's coffee. It's a completely different thing because Trader Sam's is bringing Disney into your home when you can't be there. And when you're in the parks, you get that Joffrey's that makes you feel at home. But she was basically saying, she likes the Jamaican Me Crazy, which is offered by Joffrey's. What Trader Sam's coffee should she get? If you like chocolate, the bobsled was really good. I'm looking forward to the banana cream pie.
Oh, Virginia said that she liked that one.
I recommend going with that one. Now, granted, I don't know if it's going to be everybody's palate's different. That's my next coffee that's on my list to get. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying some of it. Possibly doing another box on opening or unveiling. We'll just have to see how it goes.
Trader Sam's doesn't come in K-Cups, but you can buy K-Cups from them and buy their ground coffee.
Yeah, for example, I actually have some of the K-Cups that you could put your own coffee in and then drop it in type of thing, like a regular K-Cup. I ground my own coffee, so I grounded it a little bit finer, and I used about the normal size, normal amount of coffee, closed it up, put it in there. Boom! It was really, really good. Really, Alex? Sorry for those people that are listening and not watching. I'll just... So sometimes doing a live show and you read something that comes across your screen, it's just really funny. You really ought to just join us in the live show once in a while. And I'm really sorry if we do this and if you think it's rude. I do apologize.
It's all part of the fun.
It is a part of the fun. Alex and Danny are dating. Let's just put it that way. And they're so cute together. They're just so adorable.
It's purple and it tastes good. Must be Joffrey's coffee. Sorry, I've been dying to sing it. And someone asked me to sing it. I was throwing out taglines.
Dude, there are many decaffeinated coffees just as tasty as the real thing.
See, now Belinda is more like Chris.
Yeah.
You guys get the whole beans.
Yeah, I do. And and this is something that I really wish I can do at Disney really easily. Grind my own beans, go ahead and drink it and enjoy a nice cup of coffee. It's difficult. I will say that the best coffee I've ever had on Disney property is over at the Polynesian. The best coffee on property has got to be over at the Polynesian. Got to be like Kona Cafe. They have a pure Kona, not a blend, pure Kona. And they have it in a press pot. It serves two.
That sounds, I want to actually try that.
Dude. It's really good. I mean, my daughter and I split a press pot, and it's like the highlight of our trip. And the last time I went, I actually got a bag of Kona, like unground bean Kona, the same that they use there. And I'm like, oh yeah. But the thing is that kind of like was joked around. I really like different types of coffee. I really do prefer, Trader Sam's. I really like it. There was another, brand of coffee. I'm not gonna, mention the name, because it's, from Seattle and, has a green logo and stuff like that. But I drank a cup of that, and then I drank a cup of Trader Sam's, and Trader Sam's beat it. Just gargantuously smooth. Oh yeah. But everybody can enjoy different cups of coffee, but it's definitely something you ought to try and see if it works for you.
There's nothing like sitting at the Great American Speedway with one of those donuts the size of your head.
Is it really that big?
No, it's okay. Like, it's not the size of my head, but it's not as small as a normal donut. It is bigger than the average goer. I would say it's maybe the size of, because I'm trying to think of what donuts I saw in your area. It'd probably be about the size of 2 or 3 Krispy Kremes if you just made it big. Because remember, it's thicker and it's larger, but they're good. They're good. It was a good time.
Okay, I know you haven't been to Universal or anything like that, but they have the big Homer Simpson style donut, as I call it. The donut, with the pink frosting and stuff like that.
They sell a knockoff of that at Hollywood Studios.
Do they really?
Right outside Tower of Terror, there's that little coffee stand, and there's the extended waiting line is right over there. There's also an employee parking lot over there, and there's also a smoking section right there. Right next to that,
I know what you're talking about.
Is that coffee cart? Yep.
Okay, like right as you exit.
Right as you exit, yeah. And if you just walk past the entrance, it's maybe about 10 feet down. There's like right past the bathrooms they have that are right there.
I know. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
They have purple frosted donuts that almost seem to be a very big knockoff of Homer Simpson's.
I will have to try that, only because it seems like every time I come out of Tower of Terror, it's like raining.
Oh, yeah.
So I never really have a chance to just walk over there. So.
All right, let's end this show on one final question, and it's from Alicia. Has anyone ever done a dessert party at Walt Disney World? Well, we've both done a couple of them between the two of us.
Yeah, and the thing is, we did the Happily Ever After dessert party, which was really good, and I think the viewing area was good. I think it was a lot. They've changed some things. Like for that particular party, it was probably one of the better viewing areas that we can get at that time. You're paying for the experience because you're not going to eat that much in food. Simple as that. The desserts were really, really good, really, really sweet. It had a lot for everybody of all ages. I would like to try one of the Star Wars desserts parties in the near future, though, just because they also have, other types of desserts and also some adult beverages, if I'm not mistaken.
I did a dessert party. Hey, go away, screen. I did a dessert party for Mickey's Not So Scary a couple years back. That was super cool. Super cool. Way too expensive.
You're not talking about Club Villain, though, right?
No.
Okay.
No, this but it did give us VIP seating, so maybe it was. I don't know. I have to look into what exactly Club Villain pertains to, because I don't think this exact dessert party is even offered anymore. But I enjoyed it. Very overpriced for what we got. Same thing when me and Chris were in Disney. We did the what was that dessert party? Once Upon a Time?
Right, it was Once Upon a Time.
Yeah. I personally believe it was way overpriced for what we got.
Yeah,
I think the seating was that good.
It was better than where I usually sat because they changed some of the landscaping, and I can't really stand where I normally normally used to stand and see the stuff in the castle. Because as we've talked about before in the past, Happily Ever After is heavily centric on the castle. So
yes,
kind of take that as in consideration.
Yeah, just try to enjoy it. I recommend trying one. I always tell people, you know what? Listen, I know things will get expensive, but if you could spare it, try it once. But make sure you do your research and find the one you really want to do. There are a lot. There's Illuminations dessert parties, Star Wars, Once Upon a Time, specialty, the holiday ones. Do your research and really find. I mean, there's some cool stuff. Like if you wanted to, you can go do it's not a dessert party. Even though they do have a dessert party for Fantasmic also. But there's right now at Vine and Dine, they do it for Halloween and Christmas, where Minnie and the friends, they all dress up in whatever, for us it's Halloween. They dress up and you have dinner at Vine and Dine, and then you get premiere seating over at Fantasmic.
Yeah.
I thought it was super cool.
Yeah, and if you want to go ahead and ask Disney about reservation availability, you can either go to just call them up at 407-WDW-DINE, D-I-N-E, or you could also go to guest services at the parks, and they'll be more than happy to set you up there too.
Yeah. So that was your question. There you go. Yes, everybody does Disney differently. With that being said, thank you all for following. Well, thank you all for listening to us here on Behind the Ears Podcast. If you watch us live, you know where you can find us every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If you listen at home, you know that we release our shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but maybe you'd like to do one of each. Whatever you prefer. You can follow us on our social media platforms. Facebook is Behind the Ears Podcast, Instagram Behind the Ears Podcast, and Twitter, that pesky Twitter, Behind the Ears PC. Any listener questions, comments, or concerns, please send them to behindtheearspodcast@gmail.com. Maybe you would like to buy some of our fantastic merchandise, whether it be Casey's Corn Dog Nugget shirts, Halloween t-shirts, or maybe even a Behind the Ears Podcast t-shirt. Simply head on over to www.behindtheearspodcast.net and just click the little shop button. You can find everything. Lastly, from me, do not forget to go on iTunes and rate and review the show. I know it sounds trivial and not important, but that's how this show grows, and that's how people find us that much easier. With that being said, guys, once again, thank you all for tuning in. I am Uncle Danny. I'm signing out.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Thank you once again for joining us. Really appreciate all your love and support. We really enjoy these times with you 3 times a week. Hey, don't forget to also subscribe to the show. Just go over to iTunes or Apple Podcast or Google Play Music, or your whatever podcast catcher you use. Just go ahead and subscribe, and that way you get all the shows delivered directly to your device without even thinking about it. And of course, for those of you who have an Alexa-enabled device, don't forget to say, "Hey Alexa, play me the Behind Ears Podcast." And hopefully she'll go ahead and just take care of that for you. But once again, thank you again for being here with us tonight. And we look forward to talking to you again. Until next time, take care.